What's going on, guys? It's me, Zach, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. So in this one, I'm going to go over my quarterback tier list, where I'm just going to go through, I think I did the top 15 quarterbacks and then a couple of late flyers I'm also interested in, where I break those into tiers and I compare where I have them ranked to their current ADP, as well as what I would be willing to pay for them in an auction draft compared to how much they tend to go for. So this will be the third video in the series. I've already done running backs and wide receivers, so if you haven't seen those videos yet, please do go check those out, and then we'll be getting the tight end video up shortly as well. And then we'll have all those positions done right in time for you guys to get your drafts done. So that's pretty exciting. Really enjoying making all these videos for you guys. Really appreciate all the support we've been getting. We just cracked 180 subscribers today, so that's pretty awesome. We are on pace to break that 200 subscriber goal by the start of the season, which is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys so much again. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find what I'm providing here useful. Please feel free to drop a like, give me a comment or question if you have one, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We give 3 videos a week, so really excited to keep doing this. In case you haven't seen the previous video, I've announced that the website is up. There's not a whole lot on there yet, but we'll get in the rankings and tier lists and auction draft values and all that up probably by the end of this week. So there'll be a lot there, and that should get updated throughout the season. So really excited to have that up as well. So yeah. With that, let's get into the video. We're starting us off here with tier 1. Not too many surprises here. My quarterback 1 overall this season is Josh Allen. That's in line with the consensus ADP for him. I will say that even though I have an estimated cost for him of 10% in auction drafts compared to just an average cost of 10.5%, these auction values I'm pulling from ESPN's platform in a standard PPR 12-team league. I strayed from using Fantasy Pros' projections here because I find that they tend to really overestimate how much quarterbacks cost. You have guys like Tom Brady going for 10% of your budget, and I don't find that to be a very accurate representation of what actually happens in drafts. So I did choose to switch it up here and compare my estimated cost to what I see on ESPN, but obviously compare this to what you use on your platform. But regardless, I found that in almost every snake draft, I do find myself out on Josh Allen and Justin Herbert because they are going significantly earlier than I'd like them to be, but I do find them to be reasonable values in auction drafts, so I do leave with them on occasion. I have forgot to mention already, but Justin Herbert is my quarterback 2 compared to his consensus ADP of quarterback 3. Not too many surprises there. I do tend to be willing to pay a little bit more for Herbert compared to his ADP, his consensus cost. So I think that Herbert between the two is the better value here. So really in snake and auction drafts, Herbert is the only one of these two I ever leave with. But in general, I'm not leaving a draft with either one of these two guys. Moving into tier 2 here, my quarterback 3 overall is Jalen Hurts. My quarterback 4 is Mahomes, 5 is Russell Wilson, and 6 is Kyler Murray, compared to their consensus ADPs of 7, 2, 11, and 5. So what you'll see here is that 2 quarterbacks I have as pretty screaming values are Jalen Hurts and Russell Wilson. I do project both of these guys to finish as top 5 quarterbacks this season, and I think that neither one of them is going inside that. I think that both of them are going to absolutely smash their ADPs this season. They tend to be the 2 quarterbacks that I'm leaving the most drafts with this year. I think they're great values to target in the middle rounds of your snake drafts or towards the middle of your auction draft. They're both really great values, and I love getting both of them. I have found myself drafting Kyler Murray on occasion, but I tend to prefer Hurts and Russell to him, and he goes before them. So it's very rare that I get Kyler unless it's in an auction draft. And I have Patrick Mahomes ranked as the quarterback 4 compared to a consensus of quarterback 2. That's not a whole lot lower than most people have him, but I think that he does certainly not fit in tier 1, which I think a lot of people have him in. He's going to have a great season. He's a great quarterback. He's maybe the best quarterback in the NFL. It's just that I think he's going to take a bit of a tiny step back without Tyreek Hill. And there's just so many other players I love a lot. Jalen Hurts, to me, offers a much higher floor with his rushing production, and there's some level of upside there that we haven't seen with A.J. Brown being added into the mix. That's why I prefer Hurts to Mahomes. But I really tend to believe in my draft with Hurts and Wilson here. Moving into tier 3 here, these are 3 quarterbacks that I actually find myself leaving drafts with very, very rarely, even though I am higher than consensus ADP on one of them. So I've got Lamar as my QB7, followed by Dak and Trey Lance at 8 and 9. Lamar has a consensus ADP of 4, and I just don't think he's quite worth paying up that much for, so I haven't been leaving many drafts with Lamar. I think Dak is a perfectly fine draft pick. I think people are somewhat overreacting to the loss of Amari Cooper this season. I think Dak's going to be totally fine. I'm more than comfortable leaving a draft with him, but he just tends to not fall somewhere where I find that I get great value on him. But I have had to punt on quarterback a little bit in some auction drafts and get him for cheaper, especially in leagues where you see a lot of the higher end quarterbacks get way out of hand. And then I do love going with Trey Lance on occasion as your QB1 if you have to completely punt on the position. He's currently going as the QB 13, but I have him ranked inside my top 10 at 9. So I'm willing to pay a little bit more than he's currently going for. And I think that Trey Lance has some real upside, and that if you do get Trey Lance, you can pretty easily couple him with one of these quarterbacks I'll talk about in tier 4, just to sort of give yourself a nice floor as well. But yeah, again, this is generally not a tier I'm leaving drafts with. I do tend to find myself drafting quarterbacks from either tier 2 or tier 4 if I have to punt on the position. But all 3 of these guys are totally fine. You're not going to lose your league because you have them as your quarterback, and they all have some level of upside. So I'm more than comfortable leaving my draft with any one of these 3. Moving into tier 4, this is where I sort of have 6 players ranked very close to each other, and they're all guys that I think are pretty much the same thing, and sort of fit the same mold. And that mold is that they are quarterbacks that are going to throw the ball quite a bit, and they're going to do so effectively, but they really don't offer you anything on the ground. And for that reason, it just really limits their upside. A guy I've left 0 drafts with this season is Joe Burrow. He's currently ranked as the quarterback 6, and I just don't think he can get there without rushing the ball or throwing for 40-plus touchdowns. It's just hard to project that. So I think that all 6 of these guys are pretty much equal for me. You can see that by my estimated cost being 1% on each of them. And the fact of the matter is you can get all of them for that. So in many drafts, I do find myself having to punt at the quarterback position and then grabbing one of these guys. You do find that you can get quarterbacks like this for 1% of your budget, because even if you're in a 12-team league, there are 15 quarterbacks inside the top 4 tiers. So most teams will only take 1 quarterback, and even if you wait to the last team in your league to get one, you still end up with an okay guy here. Of these 6 players, the player I do think actually has the most upside this season is Kirk Cousins, believe it or not. I think that Kirk Cousins has a real chance of a breakout year this year with their new offensive scheme, and another year of familiarity with Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, and Dalvin Cook, and bringing Irv Smith into the fold. So of these guys, he's the one I'm actually the most excited to get. But I think that they're all perfectly serviceable, and they'll all hold down the fort, but I just don't think any of them really have the upside that any of the guys in the top 3 tiers do. Before leaving, I just want to talk about these 3 quarterbacks that I think are pretty quality draft picks, especially if you end up with one of those quarterbacks in tier 4, because like I touched on, none of those tier 4 guys really offer you the upside that you're looking for at the position. So in leagues where I find myself drafting one of those tier 4 quarterbacks, I also find myself pairing them with either one of these 3 guys or Trey Lance. I think that Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, and Justin Fields all have very real ceilings that really none of the guys in tier 4 do. They just have a lot lower floors as well, so I'm not comfortable leaving my draft than any of them. But all 3 of these guys are certainly capable of taking massive steps forward this season. And they all offer a little bit more on the ground than some of these guys. Not so much Tua, but I think there's just so much potential for that to be a super high volume offense with some really talented skill position players. I think Tua does have a shot. But I actually think that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields have realistic opportunities to finish inside the top 10 this season. I'm not projecting it, but if you were to tell me that either one of them finishes a top 10 quarterback, I wouldn't be shocked. So these are really the only 3 outside of that top 15 that I think are worth rostering in a 12-team league. But if you do have to wait on the quarterback position, I'm more than happy snagging one of these guys on my bench to start the season and seeing what they can do during the course of it. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.